Coming to you from the home of the mini trees, inspirational, motivational, so come along with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Pixel Talk. This week's edition brings you an interview with Microsoft Chief Marketing Officer Chris Capossela, a coverage of the OHS Football Game at MIT Splash with a soundtrack provided by the hottest rap group in town, the Fire Club, a discussion of a new study on loneliness by Peyton Robertson, a tutorial on how to make a snowflake by Elena, and an interview with Vishnu Srinivasa hosted by Shannon Maddon. Welcome viewers, my name is Tej Singh. I'm from New Jersey, representing students from all around the world. So, hello world. Along with us here is Mr. Chris Capossela. He's the Chief Marketing Officer of Microsoft and a Senior Vice President. And so, Mr. Capossela, what is it like, how did you start off in technology? What made you interested into this whole field?
Well, Tej, thanks for inviting me onto the show. It's great. It's great that you guys do this, and please call me Chris. Mr. Capossela feels like my dad, so if you don't mind, you got to make me feel a little younger than I am. I got into technology when I was in high school, where we had one of the first computer science programming classes in my high school that I knew of any school. No one else seemed to have one, and I was really lucky that our geometry teacher sort of introduced a computer science class, and only 6 kids took it, and because it was such an odd thing, many years ago, and I just fell in love with it right away as soon as I got a chance to sit down and start coding. It's something that I couldn't believe how much fun it was. I couldn't believe how hard and interesting it was to write really world-class code, and ended up majoring in it in computer science and economics in college, and then became aware of companies like Microsoft, and decided to give it a try when I was right out of college.
Very interesting stories. So what is Microsoft doing anything in particular to attract the younger audience? For example, I know of Google, like my sister's middle school just bought 500 Chromebooks, and so they just run Chrome OS. But so is Microsoft doing anything on their part to attract the younger audience, or are they focusing on like the workplace audience? Because in 10, 20 years from now, these middle high schoolers will become the next business office managers.
Yeah, for sure. The grammar school in the U.S., this is, sort of K through 8th grade, kindergarten through 8th grade is really where students are first going to get in touch with technology. And so we make Office 365, which is our cloud-based version of Office, available for free for students around the world. And we host it in our data center, so the school doesn't have to worry about sort of running it. And then we have Windows computers of all different shapes and sizes, some of which we think would compete well with Chromebooks, some of which compete well with Macs. Using the pen is really key, we think, for the learning process. So we've made devices that use the pen in a really beautiful way. There are great applications that take advantage of the pen, from mathematics to composing music. So a lot of the technology we built, but then the way we price our products, we really want young students, in their 2nd grade, 3rd grade, to be able to get in touch with Windows devices and our software, so as they grow up, they become more and more familiar with it, and when they enter the workplace, they can be successful, because today the workplace uses a lot of Windows, but also when they start their own companies, they're going to want to have Windows be part of that. So it's a big part of our strategy as well.
Yeah, and I think the pen idea is really cool because the Surface, both the Surface Pro and the regular Surface, they accept the pen, and it shows that in today's society, like whether it be computer designers or graphic designers, they use it. Because I remember when Steve Jobs was talking about the first iPhone, he said, "Who needs a tab like a stylus?" And now Apple even has their own app. It's called Apple Pencil. But I think you guys originally had it when you first came out with the Surface. So speaking of the Surface, what is Microsoft doing to get the broader audience more awareness about the product, and so everyone can realize how great of a product it is? Because on Yahoo Tech, David Pogue was raving about it, especially the new Surface Book, and it talked about how it's so versatile and it's truly amazing, but once people understand it, they love it. But what are you doing so most people would be recognizable about the product?
Well, certainly, we're doing a lot of marketing to try to raise awareness of the product. We've got television ads running in 6 or 7 countries around the world to raise awareness that this product actually exists and that there are new Surface products. But then we focus, frankly, on listening to who in the real world loves this product, and we sort of track who are the fans of these products, and we try to engage with our fans and give them ways that they can tell their stories about how they're using these devices. So it's not just about us putting things on TV. It's also about giving our fans content that they can use. It's amplifying the interesting things they're talking about. You can't talk to everyone. You know, the world is just too big a place. So we've learned that you have to really cultivate your fan base, and they'll then tell lots of people about what they're doing. And so you start small, and then you can build it, build it from there.
Yeah, that reminds me of, because last time we interviewed former president of Pepsi, John Scully, and he started the Pepsi Challenge, which is essentially, because what I noticed that I was reading that your type of marketing is product based, and so his was also that type, because it really, for the first time, instead of companies telling customers, and so it's really customer driven, and that really, this experience creates so much more meaningful advertising.
Totally right. When customers talk, other potential customers listen much more closely because it's more credible, frankly, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Office 365, the whole suite, and so that kind of ties into how now all of these big companies, whether it be Apple or Google or Microsoft, they're creating their own ecosystem. So if you have one product, like a Windows Phone the new Windows Phone, I think it's Lumia 965 XL or something, that ties into Windows 10, and so it's a whole ecosystem. What are you doing to capture the audience from like when they're a younger age, marketing, so that once you capture them, you can always keep them in that type of ecosystem?
Well, you've done your homework. The Android or Google and Apple and Microsoft are all busy trying to build products that work really well together. So when you use one, you'll naturally start using a second or a third or a fourth. And when you talk about sort of a younger audience, for us, the technology that we see that young people really get excited about, it is Minecraft is probably the most amazing example, where you think of it as this game when in fact it's much bigger than that. You have people creating. It really is a productivity creation experience, creating these entire worlds. And then there's a conference called Minecon that 50,000 people are showing up to these conferences, all about a single game or a single creation experience. So Minecraft is one that we see very, very young children getting into quite early. Once they start making friends with other people and having access to technology, Skype and communication tools like Skype become very important to them. And so I would say Xbox, Minecraft, Skype, gaming and communications are typically the first things that we see very young people doing, and making sure our products really work well for them, are safe for them to use, and are easy to access across any platform. Even if you're not using a Windows device, but you're using a Mac or an iPad or an Android tablet, we want to make those products really ubiquitous and attractive to young people.
Yeah, the Skype really resonates, because Stanford OHS, although the meetings or the classrooms are run through Adobe Connect, but all of the communication, whether with clubs or other students, almost exclusively through Skype. And so now we'll transition to our lighthearted segment of our interview. We have a game we ask our interviewees to play. It's called This or That. So I'm going to give you 2 choices, and you have to say which one you prefer.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Baked or fried?
Baked.
Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Rain or snow?
What is it?
Rain or snow?
Oh, I live in Seattle. It's got to be rain.
Okay. Florida or Washington?
Washington.
Poets or quants?
Quants.
100 meters or marathon?
Marathon. Night
owl or early bird?
Night owl.
You're the first person who said that. I was expecting. I'd guess, and I was almost had them all right until this one. Rock or rap?
Rock.
White or whole wheat?
Whole wheat.
Gift cards or cash?
Gift cards.
10 years ago, Facebook or MySpace?
Oh boy, Facebook, I think. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah. And I saved the best for last. Google Docs or Pages?
Office, of course.
Okay. And so, lots of our audience wanted to know, what does it feel like to be one of Bill Gates' friends?
Well, he's an incredibly generous person, as I think everybody sort of knows now, given that the foundation's just done ridiculously amazing things for the world. But what I don't think everybody knows is just how incredibly curious he is. People think of him as, one of the smartest people they've come across, but the guy is constantly learning. He's constantly reading. He's asking questions all the time. And so someone you might thinks he has the answer, he's actually very much the opposite of that. And he's constantly sort of trying to learn from the people around him, even though he's often, probably the smartest person in the room. And that's the thing that I really took away from my time with him when I got to work closely with him when he was at Microsoft, was just that incredible curiosity, that thirst for new information, new knowledge, learning, that I was totally inspired by. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, if you're in high school, if you've been at Microsoft for 24 years, there's always more to learn. And you should really take joy in the journey of learning new things.
Wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say, do what you want to do. Wonder what would happen every day with the big day, reaching what you're reaching to. Got what it takes to make things new. You can change the world, but let it change you. It's time to stand up, man. It's time to stand up.
This is our world, now what we gonna do with it? Generation now locked in, not gonna quit. Who knows how long we have to make a move? Long overdue, it's up to me, it's up to you. What do you think? Wanna turn some heads? Wanna live life out until we're dead? It's time to stand up, man, it's time to stand up.
Hey everyone, I'm Peyton Robertson, editor of the science section. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about loneliness, because a recent study has shown that loneliness is actually correlated with a higher chance of getting sick. This is because over the course of human history, humans who were isolated felt lonely and were also more exposed to bacterial infections, so their immune system shifted to help protect them from this. However, in today's society, we're more exposed to viral infections. So if our immune system is focused on fighting bacterial infections, we'll become more prone to being infected by viral infections and therefore get sick more often. So just a reason to get out this final season and take a break from studying.
Hi, my name is Elena. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make paper snowflakes. All you need is some printer paper and a pair of scissors. With a piece of printer paper, you're going to take one corner and fold it across, and then cut off the bottom so you're left with a square. Now that you have a square, you're going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. Then you're going to fold this square in half and then in half again. So you're left with this triangle. Now you're going to cut off the little triangle up here so that you're left with something kite-shaped when you open it up. But you'll leave it closed for now. Now you can have fun designing your snowflake. You can cut along any of the edges or make holes in the center. Just be sure to leave enough of the edges intact so that your snowflake doesn't fall apart when you open it up. Once you've cut out as much as you want, you can open it up. If you want another snowflake, you can just take another piece of paper and do the same thing.
Okay. Hi, I'm Shannon Maddon, and today I'm here with Vishnu, a senior here at OHS. Hi, Vishnu. So I've heard you're doing some pretty interesting research at a lab down near where you live. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hi Shannon, thanks for having me. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm working at a lab at Texas A&M University, which is pretty close to my house. I work in the chemical engineering department, and we are currently working, our lab is generally focused on molecular microbiology and studying the effects of various chemicals on bodily signals and bacterial effects within the body. So we right now are focusing mostly on the gastrointestinal tract and the bacteria in the gastrointestinal tract and the byproducts they produce. Basically, our hypothesis is that metabolites, or the byproducts of metabolism, could have a fairly big effect on health And we don't necessarily know what yet, but that's basically the main goal of our research.
Wow, that's so fascinating. That sounds incredible. So for everyone listening, how do you get involved in this type of research? What do you do to kind of get into the labs?
So that's a pretty good question, actually. I have it relatively easier than most people, I think, because my father is a professor in mechanical engineering, and so he knows a lot of people across the university. And so it's easier for him to like get me names. Like if I'm interested in something, I can like ask him, and he'll have someone for me to talk to. But it still did require a lot of paperwork. You'll probably have to, if you're trying to get a position in the lab, you'll probably have to like contact the professor directly, which is what I did. And there'll usually be a lot of paperwork, but that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, thanks. That's really great with that. So how have your science courses here at OHS kind of helped you and pushed you to motivate you to do this type of work?
Well, I'm actually new to OHS this year. I haven't actually had any science classes except for this year here. But what I found is that generally I've mostly been interested in chemistry and biology as an overall thing throughout my high school career. And I thought this was a good way to sort of integrate those concepts, because this is like study of different chemical effects in biological systems. And also there's a bit of physics involved, because it also has to deal with the motion patterns of bacteria too, and the chemical signals that affect their motion.
Great, that's incredible. It's great that you're going after something you're so passionate about. So my one last question, do you have any advice for students who might want to do some sort of laboratory work as a high school student? Because I know you said by directly contacting the professor, but there aren't as many options available for high school students as there are for undergrads or graduate researchers. So do you have any suggestions or any advice you would like to give to these students?
That's also a good question. Like I know that high school students are generally not necessarily as desired in universities, but I found that usually if you just ask the professor and like detail what it is that you've done and what makes you qualified for it, it tends to usually work out. I find that happens a lot in my experience. But also I would just say definitely if you think you want to do it, just try. Like it can't hurt you even if they do say no, like you have at least tried, and if you do get it, then great.
Thanks, that's great advice, and I'm sure it might inspire a couple of viewers out there to try and contact local professors. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, and we hope that you update us with your further research.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Until then,